close to $1 million in volume being traded right now in the Offensive Player of the Year. If you did put $100 down on Jonathan Taylor, that would pay back $143, so a 43% increase on your money that you had. There are a lot of long shots in here, but it doesn't feel like those would be good bets. Like, hey, I'm going to put it on Justin Herbert. Well, yeah, if Justin Herbert wins it, Joe, a $100 wager would pay back $10,000. They even have a market for if you want to bet Malik Neighbors.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
He's the fan favorite. They love talking about Stafford, the 38-year-old guy. He's the Super Bowl champ. We got the family. Any opportunity to pump McVay and Stafford as a team, they do that. They love this team. They loved Aaron Donald, and rightfully so. Best defensive player, but they love to pump up Stafford.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
What are those things called?
A shooting star.
Yeah, okay, I'll go with that one. Like, it just burns up quick. Mm-hmm. And you love it while you can see it, and bing, it's gone in the blink of an eye.
Right.
That's my fear for Cam Scatterby.
Yeah, and that's not a big deal, but I will say it's weird, and it seems like he really enjoys that attention, which is all fine because he's a young guy.
Yeah.
But possibly dangerous in a city like New York.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
The play is our fam. You don't know about our fam? Go look her up on social media. Go look at YouTube. 19-year-old from Spain, 6'6", block shots, runs the floor, rebounds, post up, inside, outside, pop the corn, serve the beer, and it can clean up the mess when you're done eating your meal. This lady is absolutely fantastic.
Pro Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome to another edition of the Craig Carton Show. Hope you had a wonderful, healthy, and happy Thanksgiving weekend. Tyron A. Johnson here. We got lots cooking today. And who would have thought the first day of December, college football rears its ugly head. Look, the NCAA is a complete mess, and it just proves over and over again that's a rudderless ship. But of course, Lane Kiffin decides to do what Lane Kiffin does. You know, when a certain Motown group about 80 years ago wrote the song "Papa Was a Rolling Stone," how would they have known it would have been the theme song for Lane Kiffin? But that's what he is. So let's first off agree that no one should be surprised that Lane Kiffin found a shiny object in the corner that all of a sudden got his attention and decided to go for it. That's what Lane Kiffin does. He doesn't hang around all that much. Matter of fact, 6 years in Mississippi is the longest he's been anywhere at any time of his adult life. Matter of fact, you see him right there getting on a plane. You got a handful of lunatic fans from Ole Miss cursing him out as he gets on the plane to go down or up, wherever the heck it is, to LSU to become their new head coach.
It's down.
I can't figure that part out. Is Mississippi high, north, or south? I don't know.
It's north of it.
Two places I'll probably never be, I can tell you that. They're not fans of my people, as you might know, in either one of those states. And I'm not talking about white people. But look, listen, you know, when someone offers you $90+ million, and that's what the deal is. I think it's $91 million, and there's incentives to get over 100 based on national championships and that type of stuff. And they've got the greatest facilities in college football, and they're willing to write huge checks to a lot of guys to come play. It's hard to say no to that. When you're in the middle of the greatest season the college rat has ever had, Ole Miss, and that's just another decent year for LSU. Expectation is a part of this also. But the thing that gets me the most about this whole Lane Kiffin nonsense is the fact that there are people out there, I've heard them, you've heard them, on TV, on the radio, online, etc., that think that Ole Miss in some way, shape, or form has wronged him by not allowing him to coach Ole Miss throughout the tournament. And to me, that couldn't be farther from the truth. Ole Miss has no responsibility to let a Benedict Arnold turncoat continue to coach because it's good for him. That's not good for them. It's not good for the kids that he has now turned his back on. It's not good for the assistant coaches that he's now left in the lurch as he goes on to greener pastures and a lot more money to go coach at LSU. So if you have any self-respect at all, and clearly, and I give them credit, Ole Miss does, if you've decided that we're no longer the right place for you, it doesn't matter the reason. Goodbye. Don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out. You will not have the benefit of coaching our boys, our team, with our other assistant coaches if your heart is somewhere else. So the fact that there are people out there suggesting, and I saw the interview Lane did, I forget the reporter's name, like at the private jet terminal before I got on the plane to go to LSU.
I think that was Marty Smith.
Okay, who did a great job, by the way, getting that interview and all that, and I give him a lot of credit for it. Lane Kiffin tried his hardest to show respect for Ole Miss. He failed miserably. Lane Kiffin tried his hardest to say that he understands the decision. He failed miserably. Lane Kiffin wanted his cake and he wanted to eat it too. That's what he has always done. And the fascinating thing about Lane Kiffin is that after he went to Alabama, made a couple $1 million a year being their offensive coordinator, and kind of rebuilt his reputation nationwide under the auspices of the greatest college coach of our lifetimes, for sure at Alabama, you might have thought that he would have grown up. You might have thought that he would have matured. You might have thought that he would have recognized, hey, the way things ended in Tennessee wasn't really cool. Hey, leaving FAU after 2 years to go back to major college football maybe wasn't great. Hey, my failure with the Raiders maybe wasn't great. USC maybe wasn't great. And on and on and on. But yet here we are, a guy about 50 years old, just shy of 50 years old, and he cannot change who he is at the core of who he is. And I'm not quite sure why we expected him to. This is what this guy does. And if there's a team willing to write him a big check, well, you could say shame on them, except for one thing. No matter where he's gone, take the NFL out of that, Lane Kiffin, except for 1 year, has been successful. Lane Kiffin is rightly regarded as one of, if not the greatest current college coaches in all of America. You could debate that. If you want to tell me it's Signetti, I'm not going to argue with you. If you want to tell me it's Freeman, I'm not going to argue with you. There are other obviously very good coaches.
Yeah, Ryan Day around the same age at Ohio State.
Ryan Day won a national championship. Yeah. He's at Ohio State. They're playing for another Big Ten championship. Meaningless game, of course, coming up against Indiana because they're both in the tournament. But, man, I wasn't shocked. I don't know how you could have been shocked by what Lane Kiffin did. The only thing that I disagree with in regards to what other commentators have had to say is the role that Ole Miss plays in this. Ole Miss did everything right. They told him they would match any offer.
Yep.
They told him if there's certain issues with, the weight room, the clubhouse, this to that, they would improve it. Yep. They told him the boosters have signed on to write large checks so that Ole Miss always has a crack at the top quarterback that's transferring or coming out of high school every single year. They offered him everything, but the shiny object in the corner got his attention. So if you're Ole Miss, and I've heard a lot of people make, silly analogies. I'm not going to bore you with an analogy. You don't need an analogy for Americans to understand what happened here. Ole Miss got left at the altar, and Ole Miss decided, I'm either going to let her continue to embarrass me, or I'm going to have some self-respect and kick her ass out the door and lock it behind her and not let her back in. And that, for me, is the right thing to do. Lane Kiffin had the right to leave.
Yep.
He chose to leave. I wish you the best of luck. Not really. But go ahead. Take your stuff with you. Get on the jet. And we'll see you on the playing field sometime in the future. But Ole Miss did the right thing also. Ole Miss said, if our offer of matching what LSU gave you isn't enough, if you always want to find a different opportunity, so be it. But we are not going to embarrass ourselves and allow you, and we recognize you built the program back up. You get all the credit in the world for being a great college coach and bringing us to the precipice of our only national championship, right? but we are not going to embarrass ourselves. We are not going to allow you to stay on the sideline after turning your back on our kids, our coaching staff, the 40 or so thousand people that go to Ole Miss. If you want out, then get out. And I fully support what Ole Miss did in that regard. They did nothing wrong. I love the fact they already promoted the defensive coordinator, not to interim coach. He's now their coach. I love that. So they're not going through this nonsense of, well, you're going to coach us in the tournament, but we're going to go find out the next great available coach. You put the time in. The kids love you. They respect you. You're the new guy. So good for him and good for Ole Miss.
Yeah, Pete Golding, the new head coach, DC, from the area, and they also know that he wants to be there. And I think that's the other part that people are understanding. Once Lane decides he doesn't want to be there, regardless of the reason,
get out.
You don't beg a guy to stay, and you definitely don't let him continue to coach players. And they'll say, "Oh, he's going to try to get him to transfer anyway."
Look,
yeah, but you don't let him do it from in the building.
Here's what he's
not
going
from
to
in
do.
the building.
Like the notion of, hey, if you let him coach in the playoffs, he's not going to poach players and coaches. Yeah, he is.
Yes, he is.
Because he'd be stupid not to.
Of course he would.
So the notion of him not going after players on the roster or other coaches that he wants to be a part of his new coaching staff has nothing to do with whether or not you allow him to coach in the playoffs. Now, one final thing in this, it's got nothing to do with Lane Kiffin or Ole Miss. The NCAA is broken. You should not be, it just makes no sense that you've got the transfer portal at the same time as the freaking playoff.
Ridiculous.
So that's from a player standpoint.
Ridiculous.
That you have players out of the 12 teams that are going to be participating in the playoff in a couple weeks who are going to have to announce that they're putting themselves in the portal because there's a timeline and a deadline for when you have to do that. So for me, players should not be allowed to enter the portal, and coaches should not be allowed to transfer to other schools to become head coaches until after the championship game. It's crazy to me that we're about to start the playoff, and you have hundreds of kids who now have to enter the portal and coaches that are leaving also. That makes no sense. We got lots more coming.
Let's play our game of buy or sell. Buy or sell. Thursday night football should end after week 10, George. You're going to buy or sell this?
It's too short a week. It's not healthy for the players. You'll never be able to convince me otherwise here. The NFL will tell you, oh, stats tell us, no, it's not more injuries. And that's all BS. All right. Should it end after week 10? In a perfect world, there probably should be no Thursday night games. Should it end after week 10? Sure, I'll buy this. But it's not going to. There's too much money here. It's never going to end, all right? They're going to have it forever. You're lucky there's not a Friday, Saturday schedule as well, and there's some laws involved there as to why there's not. The NFL is going to have a schedule or for any day they can get here. It's all about money here. And if the players don't want it, by the way, you got to realize, well, you're going to lose a significant chunk of revenue out of your salary as well here.
Right.
So I'll buy this, but it doesn't matter. It's not going away.
I mean, George just basically said everything that I was going to say, so what is the reality? The games, so of course I'll buy it. The games are not good. Generally, the home team has a big advantage. If not, the teams are not prepared to play on Thursday night. Yes, there have been some upsets and some underdogs winning. We saw it Thursday night. But the quality of play on Thursday is lower than what it is on the weekends. And there's no end in sight to it because of what George said, the money. That's just all that matters. If Amazon Prime doesn't take it, Netflix will take it. If they don't take it, Apple will take it. If they don't take it, somebody else will take it. I don't know. Hulu, I don't know. You make it up. Someone will. So it is not going away. And, generally speaking, I'm excited every week when the games begin, and then I forget, and then the games usually stink, and I'm like, oh, gosh, this game wasn't good anyway. So George is right. Not going away because of the money.
Fantasy Sports Today. Friday, starting at 3 p.m. Only on SportsGrid.
Oh, man, I just got bad news. Welcome back to the Craig Carton Show. It's Cyber Monday. I was going to get me one of them Ninja slushies.
Yeah,
because Ethan downstairs said he wanted to buy me a gift because of all the things I do for him, including stopping by his house because I'm a good guy. Saturday night, he was bored and alone, so I brought 12 people with me to have a little house party at about 11 o'clock at night.
Look at that.
He was sleeping. True story, by the way.
Sleeping?
Yeah, woke his ass up. Give you some Grand Marnier, bitch. Yeah, no, but this thing's $249. I don't need $249 to make ice. Nah, I'll pass on that. I do like the Ninja products, though.
They make good products.
One last thing on this Lane Kiffin going to LSU, and I love the fact I'm actually rooting for Ole Miss to win the damn thing. I would love to watch Ole Miss win the national championship, right?
Yeah.
And do it without Lane Kiffin on the sideline. It would remind me, if you go all the way back in the day, to the Fab Four in Michigan. And what was it? Was it Bill Frieder? Who was the guy that took over for Michigan, the head coach, who went on that great run? Steve Fisher. I made up names there. He didn't win, obviously, but they got to a Final Four and championship. But he was doing it with other dudes' kids, right?
Yeah.
In any event, I would love to watch Ole Miss win the Natty now and have Lane Kiffin have to watch on TV as his kids win with a different coach. That'd be great.
There's one small thing. LSU in their deal, if they win the Natty, then LSU has to pay Lane $1 million.
He gets a bonus for Ole Miss winning?
Yeah, because they put that in the deal since he doesn't get to coach in the playoff.
Yeah.
They're going to pay him $1 million.
So he's rooting for him. It's $1 million.
Yeah.
All right. And the last thing on this, because look, you could talk with this all day, obviously. And if I'm doing a talk show in an SEC country, I'm doing this all day for the next month.
Yeah.
This is what Lane Kiffin does. Lane Kiffin is a great head coach. There's no doubt about that. One of the top college coaches in all of America. He was the 6th highest paid coach in the SEC prior to this, but still making $9 million a year, so not a pauper by any stretch. Now he goes about, 50% higher than that, makes $13 million and change, chance to make even more with national championships and all that kind of stuff. But you cannot be surprised at the decision he made. The only guy that I think woke up yesterday to the news that he was going to LSU that has buyer's remorse, there's only one guy, because he acted prematurely because he was desperate to get a job, and that is James Franklin. If James Franklin wasn't so desperate and insecure to get a head coaching job, and he doesn't need the money, he's getting $8 million a year regardless. He just had to look for a job.
Right.
He didn't have to take the first job offered him.
He did not.
Or in this case, the only job offered to him, and go to the inbred capital of America, Virginia Tech. That being said, while Ole Miss might have hired their defensive coordinator anyway, if James Franklin were available, it would have made it a much more interesting decision. So sometimes you can't be that insecure and desperate. James Franklin woke up yesterday saying, holy shnikes, I probably should have waited a couple weeks. I could have had the Ole Miss job. And you cannot dispute the Ole Miss job is the best job available, all due respect to the Colt members out of Penn State. The Ole Miss job right now is a far better job than Virginia Tech. You could argue Penn State's better. I'm not into the mood of arguing. It's the day, Monday after Thanksgiving. We're in December now. But James Franklin woke up saying, son of a gun, I should have waited a couple weeks. I might have gotten the Ole Miss job. That's that. Don't be desperate. Don't be insecure. Sometimes if you just show some patience, other opportunities will fall your way, and you'll have a chance to take advantage of. Now, to the NFL we go, because we've now seen 10 quarters of bad football from Shedeur Sanders. Are we finally ready to admit that maybe the Cleveland Browns and Kevin Stefanski knew what they were doing when they decided not to draft him until the 5th round? Is it possible the other 31 teams in the NFL knew what they were doing when they didn't think that highly of Shedeur Sanders as an NFL quarterback? Is it possible that Kevin Stefanski was also right that playing Dylan Gabriel made more sense for them? Because I've watched every snap of every offensive possession that Shedeur has played thus far this year, 2.5 games, by far not a large enough sample size to say he'll never become a good quarterback. But you cannot have watched those 10 quarters of football, and I don't care who they played against. I know they have an easier game coming up against the Titans, and everyone's going to say, well, let's wait to see what he does against the Titans. No. We're in the NFL, guys. Every week it's a tough opponent. This is NFL football. These are grown men. And you cannot tell me after 10 quarters of football that you think Shedeur Sanders today is a quality, competent NFL quarterback, because he's not. Still holds on to the ball far too long. They either don't allow him or he doesn't trust himself in throwing the ball down the field all that much. 90% of his completed passes are within 3 yards of the line of scrimmage or behind the line of scrimmage. It's nothing but screen passes, which is the exact same thing that Dylan Gabriel did. So maybe that's the offense they're calling for 2 young rookie quarterbacks. But you cannot wake up today, and I don't care how much you love Deion. Nobody loves Deion more than I do. I love Deion Sanders. I'm an admitted freak for Deion. But nobody can wake up this morning and tell me that what you have seen after 10 quarters of football reassures you that you were right when you thought that Shedeur Sanders was an NFL caliber quarterback.
He was better than Brock Purdy yesterday.
Oh, stop it.
He was, factually.
No, he wasn't.
It was 50 mile
Then
per
you
hour.
didn't watch the game.
No, yes, what are you
didn't
talking
watch the
about?
game?
Yes, I did watch the game.
Tell me you didn't watch the game without
I
telling me you didn't
watched
watch
the
the
game.
Here's what you did. You went online.
I watched
You
the
looked at the
game.
stats and you said, 15 passes, 15 passes,
No.
180 yards, 200 yards. If you watch the game and I did.
Higher QB rating.
Stop it. Nobody
See,
throws
no.
something at you.
This is where you become a hater.
Not a hater.
See, it's one
He's
thing.
not very
no,
good.
if you say that, that's fine. Except you got to acknowledge the quarterback on the other side was
What?
just as poor.
I'm not talking about Brock Purdy.
No, because you're talking about 10 quarters. He's not quality. You love Brock Purdy.
Brock
He's like your
Purdy's
favorite
a top
quarterback.
5 quarterback in football.
Yeah, and he was not good in that game. He was
Maybe
not
because
good
the
in that
Browns
game.
defense is really good.
Oh, so you said it doesn't matter who you play when you talk about Shedeur, but it matters a great deal when you talk about Brock Purdy.
Matters when you play a great defense.
This is the threshold for people out there. Be careful, people. If you want to be a critic, fine.
Yes.
Once you become a hater,
Yes.
you're out of bounds. Craig Carton has become a hater when it comes to Shedeur.
No, I'm just honest. I'm objective.
You become a hater.
I'm objective. You cannot watch him play, and you just did what Shedeur fans do. Rather than own the fact that he has stunk,
He hasn't been great
you
yet.
deflect.
He
and
wasn't
say,
great, but
well, what
neither
about your
was the
guy?
other quarterback.
But
He wasn't great.
I'll get to my guy. Don't worry. I'll get to him.
You'll never get to him.
I'll get to
You'll
him.
never get to him.
All right? But if the defense of Shedeur is, what did the other guy do? You're
the game.
You're playing right into my hands. You're proving to people that you have nothing good to say about Shedeur. Oh, but look at Brock Purdy. I didn't bring Brock Purdy's name up.
The future of the prediction markets, I think, at least for now, may be in the hands of the federal courts. But the good news for those who support prediction markets is that these court battles may last for another 2 to 3 years before we get clarity around the law. And nominee Seelig was handpicked by Donald Trump, not because he was neutral on prediction markets, but because he would do nothing to slow it down.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
When LeBron James decides he's retiring, it is coming with trumpets blaring, Adam Silver by his side, and he is going on a state-by-state, coast-to-coast tour so that everyone can acknowledge how great he was and give him a parting gift and thank him for his amazing contributions to the NBA.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
The play is our fam. You don't know about our fam? Go look her up on social media. Go look at YouTube. 19-year-old from Spain, 6'6", block shots, runs the floor, rebounds, post up, inside, outside, pop the corn, serve the beer, and it can clean up the mess when you're done eating your meal. This lady is absolutely fantastic.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to the Craig Carton Show. Great to have you here. We were debating during the break even more about Shedeur Sanders. What a great offense the Cleveland Browns have. 8 points. Wow. I mean, 8 points, bad sacks, no deep throws. I will give Shedeur credit for this, all right, because let's be fair to the kid. His post-game press conference was great, because there were a couple play calls that were very questionable. Now, to be fair, they've run the Wildcats successfully in the last couple games, scored a couple touchdowns on it. You may remember last week, like the second play of the game, as a matter of fact. They ran the Wildcats successfully, and they've got a young stud rookie running back who leads all rookies in rushing yards, so they can run the football. But they had a weird play yesterday. It was like a direct snap to the fullback. He fumbled it, turned the ball over inside their own 35.
Quickly turned it to a touchdown.
Turned into points, right? So, and I'm watching the game going, that was stupid. But they asked Shedeur about it after the game, and this was a chance for Shedeur to be immature. This was a chance for Shedeur to be somewhat arrogant and cocky and to throw his head coach under the bus. So let's also be positive. Here's Shedeur Sanders when asked about that play call and what he thought about it, and the reporter's trying to have him criticize Kevin Stefanski. Listen to this.
Those 2 4s and ones that didn't work, and did you like Kevin having the aggressiveness there, even backed up in your territory?
I mean, first, that's a rude question to ask. If I think, it was a great call by my coach,
Do you like the aggression? Do you like the call? Do you like?
I like being out there playing. so whatever that comes with, it comes with. We're not gonna be here and ever point finger at no coach or do anything like that. That's extremely disrespectful, and that's not even in my place.
I love that. All right, so it just shows you I'm always honest with you about Shedeur and everyone else we talk about here. They're setting him up to take a shot at Stefanski, figuring he's an immature kid. He's done it before. We'll get him to say something. We'll create a rift there. And now I've got a huge story that everyone's talking about, right?
Yeah.
And he didn't bite on it. That's maturity right there. That's the stuff people want to see out of Shedeur, because there are some people that don't even watch him play that just don't like him based on his personality.
Yeah.
And we've discussed that, right? And look, he's owned some of that. I don't think you could be the biggest fan of his you want. I think that's a fair criticism of him in the past. That's a great answer. That's a mature veteran answer. I am not throwing my coach under the bus. I just want to be on the field. So if you tell me we're on the field and it's 4th and 2, I'm happy because I got a shot to convert. That's the right answer.
Yeah.
Now, I think it was a stupid play because it turned out to be stupid, and they fumble it and San Francisco gets it. Look, the Niners were beatable yesterday. Brock Purdy, to be fair, did not play great yesterday. Played just good enough to win, but of course the Browns also helped out. They didn't score any points, only 8 in the game, had some bad turnovers. San Francisco took advantage of those turnovers, and the Cleveland Browns defense, again, is the best defense in all football. Period, stop. I don't think there's another defense that's close. But the reality is this. If you're the Cleveland Browns, and Shedeur should start the rest of the way, I'm imagining he will start the rest of the way, barring something totally incompetent or an injury, of course, because Dillon Gabriel did come in for 1 or 2 snaps yesterday when Shedeur got banged up for a minute. Yeah. But the reality is this. You have to draft another quarterback. Right? If this is what we're going to get out of Shedeur over the final month, he might be a guy that you recognize. He's a project. He's got some, God-given talent, but he's legitimately a project. Good guy to have as a 2nd-string quarterback behind a legitimate veteran. But I don't think Shedeur Sanders is a Brown next year. And here's why. If we agree that the Cleveland Browns have to go out and draft yet another quarterback, and this, by all accounts, is a quarterback-heavy draft coming up, well, then you've got to go draft another quarterback, and they're going to be drafting most likely top 5 overall, right? You cannot go through another season when you have 3 inexperienced quarterbacks on your roster. It's why they got Flacco originally. You want a veteran presence. You want a guy to start a couple games while your rookie or second-year quarterback gets to a point where you trust him to go in and play. They have more money committed to Dillon Gabriel than they do Shedeur because of where he got drafted, right? Bailey's happy as an afterthought. Yeah, he won't be on the roster anyway. Yeah. The Cleveland Browns cannot go into next year with their 3 quarterbacks being Dillon Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, and whomever they pick in the first round in April's draft. They can't do it. So they've got to get rid of Dillon Gabriel and or Shedeur Sanders. Because the new kid they draft, that's the guy they view as their franchise quarterback. That's not making anything up. That's just the way the business is. So for me, I think Dylan Gabriel remains the backup because Shedeur Sanders cannot be a backup quarterback, specifically in Cleveland, specifically behind a rookie quarterback and or Dylan Gabriel. He needs to go to a franchise with an aging veteran who's got a year or two left and then take over for that guy.
Something just broke that on the other side, you're going to disagree about keeping Dylan Gabriel.
Okay, we'll find out what that breaking story is in just a second, and we'll get to why the Eagles' defense sucks right after this. When LeBron James decides he's retiring, it is coming with trumpets blaring, Adam Silver by his side, and he is going on a state-by-state, coast-to-coast tour so that everyone can acknowledge how great he was and give him a parting gift and thank him for his amazing contributions to the NBA.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
The future of the prediction markets, I think, at least for now, may be in the hands of the federal courts. But the good news for those who support prediction markets is that these court battles may last for another 2 to 3 years before we get clarity around the law. And nominee Seelig was handpicked by Donald Trump, not because he was neutral on prediction markets, but because he would do nothing to slow it down.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
He's the fan favorite. They love talking about Stafford, the 38-year-old guy. He's the Super Bowl champ. We got the family. Any opportunity to pump McVay and Stafford as a team, they do that. They love this team. They love Aaron Donald, and rightfully so. Best defensive player, but they love to pump up Stafford.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back to the Craig Carton Show. We have lots of stuff breaking right now as we speak. Let me first say that Steve Cohen, owner of the New York Mets, has been awarded one of those casino licenses. So his casino project greenlit and will open up in the summer of 2030. It's an $8 billion Metropolitan Park project right next to Citi Field where the New York Mets play. And I'm sure in short order we will also find out that you cannot wager on Mets games, maybe not Yankee games either. We'll see about that when that casino opens, which is still, 4.5 years away. But he did get one of the 3 licenses in what they referred to as downtown New York or the southern part of New York, which is obviously the 5 boroughs, Westchester County, Long Island, et cetera. But Steve Cohen got through every hurdle. And the owner of the Mets is now going to own a casino that Hard Rock will be operating for him. $8 billion project, literally a stone's throw from where the New York Mets play. More on that, obviously, tomorrow and this week. The breaking stuff Tyrone was alluding to. So we have a rule on this show. Tyrone can vouch for me on this. Yes. Anytime I've ever worked with anyone, I've always said to people, just let me know what's off limits. And the answer for me is always wife and children are always off limits.
You've always said that, been consistent.
And same with Tyrone, wife off limits.
Right, and you don't violate.
No.
You live it.
And by the way, if you want to share a story, then we can talk about it. Right. But it's a rule I've always lived with, right? Mm-hmm. And the reciprocal of that is, your wife, your children, my wife, my children, they never invoke themselves in anything that I do.
Right.
Because as soon as that happens, then they become free game.
Yes.
And fair game. Well, Dylan Gabriel's fiance, very attractive gal, if that's your kind of thing.
Yes, she is.
Named Zoe Caswell.
Yes.
All right. If that's your thing, it's not for everyone. Some people like big girls. I don't know. Zoe Caswell, by all accounts, is a mildly attractive young woman.
Yes, a Hawaiian girl, if you like girls with little darkness to the complexion.
I do. Yeah. Anyhow, Dylan Gabriel's fiance, Zoe Caswell, just went on TikTok and said, and I'm quoting now, everyone in the building wants Dylan to play.
Yes.
End of quote, all right?
Yes.
So then someone responds to that on TikTok and basically calls her a racist and says, hey, when little Dylan got a little headache and was afraid to play, did anybody in that locker room respect that? So she responded to that.
That's the problem.
And here's the response from, I'm sure this is going to be scrubbed quickly because as soon as Dylan finds out about it, he's going to say, sweetheart, I appreciate your love and support. You got to take that down. You cannot fight my battles for me.
No.
And it's hard for a girlfriend, a wife, a fiance, a child, a loved one, a dear friend, because they want to protect you.
Right.
So this is how she responded to that. Quote, actually, everyone in the building wants him, meaning Dylan, to play, not Shedeur. But you wouldn't know that because you've never played in the NFL or been a coach, right? So now the nails are out.
See?
All right. Now, here's the one thing I'll say about, I don't know anything about Zoe Caswell, nor do I care to. She's not wrong because for the first 2.5 months of the season, while the outside noise was all about, we want Shedeur, they're mistreating Shedeur, how everyone inside the building was tone deaf to that. Whether it was Shannon Sharp or any other friend of Dion's or Josina Anderson or whomever it might have been that was suggesting that Shedeur's the better option, Shedeur should be playing, Shedeur. To be fair, what Zoe Caswell is saying played out exactly that way, where the only reason Shedeur Sanders got to start a game was because Dylan Gabriel got hurt.
Got the concussion, yeah.
If Dylan Gabriel never has a concussion, as bad as the offense was, and we can all acknowledge that he deserved to be benched and the offense stunk.
Yes.
If he didn't get hurt or get concussed, Shedeur Sanders isn't playing.
No, that's true.
The Browns proved that.
Right, but she shouldn't say.
Yes,
that's
the problem. Wives, girlfriends, kids, whatever, should never publicly get involved in this kind of squabble, especially when they might have access to inside information, which clearly she does. Like when Dylan comes home from work for a quick midday, how you doing? Good to see you, type thing. Mm-hmm. Pillow talk is pillow talk. Right. How'd it go at work today, honey? Babe, everybody wants me to play. Yeah. They know I'm back. I'm good to go. But, Stefanski's, coaching for his job right now. He even came up and told me personally he'd rather I play, but the owner's making him play Shedeur. Right? That's called pillow talk. And by the way, I would not be surprised if that is the case. Like, that could be completely factual.
Could be.
Because all we can base it on is what we've seen. And what we saw was no matter how bad Dylan Gabriel, the Browns offense was, Shedeur was not getting on the field.
Right.
Now, I think 10 quarters in, we now know why. He's no better than Dylan Gabriel. He might be taller than Dylan Gabriel by a couple inches. Fair, okay. But thus far, the offense hasn't gotten better. They scored 8 points yesterday. Like, let's not have a parade because we scored 8 points in an NFL game. And as much as I love Robert Saleh, and he's a dear personal friend, the Niners defense, while good, is not dominant. The Niners defense has had moments this year where you could throw a 40 burger on them. So I'm not suggesting that, Shedeur Sanders had a bad game solely because the Niners defense was dominant. And I'm going to give him some amount of grace. The Browns offense sucks. No matter who the quarterback is. Flacco stunk. Gabriel stunk. Shedeur stunk. Mm-hmm. So he's not alone in stinking. But, man, you got to tell your fiance, keep your lip tight. As hard as it is not to want to comment, create a burner account, put some other girl's picture on it, and tell the world how great Dylan Gabriel is. Do not put your name on it, because here's the reality. Dylan's got to deal with it now. Yes. When Dylan goes to practice today, it's going to be an issue. Because other dudes are going to be like, yo, my man, you got to tell that woman to keep her mouth tight. and now you have a problem.
Yes.
Now, I think there's already a problem. Maybe problem's not the right word, but a fissure between him and Shedeur because they're both rookies. They're both competing against each other.
Yes.
You've got half the world wants Shedeur. The other half, not that they want Dylan, they just don't want Shedeur.
Right.
And now that Dylan's fiance is commenting that everyone in the building would prefer Dylan over Shedeur. Now you've got an old school problem.
Yeah, you do. And now it comes to find out on her TikTok yesterday after the loss, she goes, Browns lost, what's new? But apparently, according to people that follow her, she didn't do this when the fiance was losing games.
Right.
She
well,
only
look,
did it
she's
when
in love with the now backup quarterback.
Right. No, once again, just do your get ready with me outfit.
Right.
Don't comment on the game. That doesn't help anybody.
Or if anything, say, hey, team fought hard. You know,
Right.
we'll get him next time, boys.
Right.
Period. Stop.
But that's not what she's doing.
No.
So that kind of thing, the fact that we're talking about it is because, first of all, a pretty big creator in Cleveland started talking about it, which means that's now a thing.
Oh, I'm sure it's all over Cleveland Talk Radio for sure.
That they're now going to have to talk about this.
You know what's funny about watching that game? And I watched this, literally every single snap because yesterday was not a great day of NFL football.
It was not.
So it was easy to have that game on. Plus, with the 3 games Thursday, the game on Friday, there weren't a lot of games left to be played. The one, they brought Dylan Gabriel in his 3rd and whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And they called the same exact play. They called for Shedeur the whole game. It was a screen pass.
It was completed for 0 yards.
For
0 yards.
Can you throw the ball down the field, please? Like Jerry Jeudy does get open.
He does.
He's a good wide receiver. And even Shedeur, who does hold the ball way too long.
He does.
He's got an arm. Throw the freaking ball down the field, man. Just go ahead, try one. Now, he did try one. And Jeudy was 3 yards past the safety, and it would have been a nice touchdown.
He
overthrew him by a couple yards.
Yeah.
And I know what the defense that's going to be. He's only had 10 quarters of football with the number ones.
He just overthrew the ball.
He just overthrew a wide open guy.
Yeah, it happened.
And then you saw on the sideline, Jeudy was pissed at him, and then Shedeur said, "Get that crap out of my face." So there's problems all over Cleveland. There's always going to be problems all over Cleveland. But now you got Dylan Gabriel's fiance getting in on it as well. Coming up. I know we have to take a break in 30 seconds, right?
Yeah.
20 seconds, even quicker. I watched Friday's game. I watched the Eagles get embarrassed and manhandled by the Chicago Bears. Where was that game?
It was in Philadelphia.
Oh, that game was in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Wow. The Eagles are not winning a Super Bowl this year. I can tell you that much right now. We'll explain why and what the most disappointing part of that game was right after this.
He's the fan favorite. They love talking about Stafford, the 38-year-old guy. He's the Super Bowl champ. We got the family. Any opportunity to pump McVay and Stafford as a team, they do that. They love this team. They love Aaron Donald, and rightfully so. Best defensive player, but they love to pump up Stafford.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Duke, you got to look at Cam Boozer. 18 points. The Bruiser, I may call him. 18 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. I know he shot the ball 1 of 4 from 3, but he's showing his ability to really be a different player than his dad. A little bit more dynamic, a little bit more athletic.
College Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Ashton Genty has been hit behind the line of scrimmage more than any player in the National Football League. Yep. So you just gave him the ball in the end zone. Do the math. How's that going to work out?
It's like what I said earlier.
He got hit behind the line of scrimmage. He got tackled in the end zone.
Yeah.
Oh, they're terrible. But the thing is, Brady, you draft offensive linemen before you draft a star running back. Like they went backwards.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Goff and Mahomes were never taken serious. Hurts won't be, even if they're the 1 seed. Jonathan Taylor plays running back. Stop. Mahomes lost the head-to-head to Josh. Can I confidently eliminate every single person booked behind Josh Allen to at least beat out Josh Allen? So I'm in a head-to-head with Stafford May?
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
welcome back to the Craig Carton Show. So Friday, day after Thanksgiving, standalone game, Eagles-Bears. Bears trying to prove to everyone that they're not a fluke. Eagles trying to kind of figure out their offense, which has been putrid. They averaged only 15 points a game in the month of November, which is the lowest they've averaged in like 50 years. Even through all the bad Eagles seasons offensively, there's been no worse November offensively for the Eagles than this year. Literally 15 points a game. And I think they played 5 games in the month of November. Fact check me out if you want to. So I'm watching the game going, Eagles are favored by 7. Bears are kind of playing with some house money on the road in Philly. Day after Thanksgiving, raucous crowd, the whole bit, right? I was like, no brainer. Eagles blow them out. That's how I handicapped that game. Couldn't have been any more wrong because you guys lost your manhood, Tyrone.
They got whooped.
You guys got pink-bellied, is what happened.
They did.
You know, the Chicago Bears didn't just beat the Eagles. They insulted the Eagles. They embarrassed the Eagles. They humiliated the Eagles. For a team that has been built as much as it was built on the great year Saquon had last year and all those great skill position guys like A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Saquon, and my guy Jalen Hurts, it's the defensive line, let's be fair, that's the reason you won a Super Bowl last year.
Yes.
Because you dominated the Chiefs. The defensive line that not even arguably was the very best in football, period, stop. Well, the Chicago Bears came into town and said, we don't respect you, and we're going to run all over you and prove to the world that you're nothing but a bunch of loud-talking bullies who, when pressed, kind of slink off into the sunset with your tails between your legs. They almost ran for 300 yards against that vaunted Eagles defense and defensive line. Caleb Williams didn't even have to throw the football in that game and barely did. And I'm watching that game saying to myself, it's one thing to say that Jalen Hurts is a problem. It's one thing to question why the hell can't Saquon Barkley get off a good game. It's one thing to say, hey, look, the Eagles have a lot of injuries on the offensive line, and any team historically that's lost 3 of their starting 5 immediately has a problem with pass protection and running the football well. Those are all fine talking points. Fact. But the one talking point which never would have been accepted with this current Eagle roster was that the defensive line is soft. Well, guess what Chicago did? They just gave you the recipe and blueprint for you to attack Philadelphia, run the ball against them until they prove to you that they can stop it. And if you wake up today and take a look at the standings, in a year in which I thought a month ago that the Eagles had the division all locked up and no one could press them for the NFC East, all of a sudden, a little engine that could, known as the Dallas Cowboys, are right there nipping at their heels. That's right. The Dallas Cowboys, after beating Philly and beating Kansas City and feeling really good about themselves now, a defense that's much better since they got Quinnen Williams, an offense that's still very good with Dak Prescott, the emergence of Pickens, who has got to be the comeback or, whatever, some award he's got to get, right? Whether it's most improved player, comeback, something like that.
Something like that.
That offense is money good. And all of a sudden, with a month plus to go in the NFL season, I'm looking at Tyrone, and he's shaking.
I'm not worried a bit about the division. I'm not worried about the division. I'm worried about the Super Bowl.
Come the Cowboys.
No.
Woo!
Not worried about the Cowboys at all.
Be.
I should not be. We've been through this enough times with the Cowboys.
How many losses do the Eagles have?
They have 4 losses.
How many losses do the Cowboys have?
They have 5 at a time. That's not what? I'm not worried at all about the Cowboys.
You should be.
No, I should not be. The Cowboys are not to be taken.
Here comes
That's
Dallas.
what we're doing now. Dallas, the little underdogs that no one cares about. What are we doing here?
It's a 2-horse race down the stretch. They come, and the Cowboys are gaining ground. The Eagles look hurt. Oh, no.
The Eagles stink right now. Now, that part I can acknowledge. But don't make me think. I don't believe the Cowboys are going to get it done because the Cowboys never get it done. This is very foolish. They got a 30-plus year track record of failure.
I agree.
I'm suddenly to believe that this is the year where it's going to work. I don't believe it at all.
Oh, well, let's just take a quick look here if I can. So your vaunted Eagles,
I didn't say
who
vaunted.
got
I said
pimp
they
slapped
stink.
at home
I
against
said
the
they
Bears.
stink right now. I didn't
They've
say
got
vaunted.
the Chargers on Monday night.
And they're favored in that
That's
game,
going to be
yes.
a tough game. Chargers are good. Not great, but they're good.
Okay.
I'll give you a guaranteed dub against Las Vegas, obviously,
Yes.
on December 14th. Washington, by the way, should have beaten Denver yesterday. You're better than Washington, but who knows? Mariota at home, chance to play spoiler.
Let's say they split.
Tough game.
Let's say they split.
Okay, let's say they split.
They play
'cause
them twice. I go with that.
Fair enough. They do play Washington twice in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, let's
so
say
let's
they
say you
split.
get a split,
Yeah.
and you're at Buffalo. That's a loss.
That's not a loss.
Because Buffalo did yesterday to Pittsburgh what Chicago did to you. They ran the ball right down their throats,
they
okay?
did it. Buffalo's not that good.
So hold
I'm
on.
not just giving that a loss.
You guys have 4 losses right now, right?
Yeah.
You split with Washington, that's 5 losses. You lose to Buffalo, that makes you 11-6.
I think they're going to finish 11-6.
Well, are you beating the Chargers? Probably not.
I believe they are beating the Chargers.
10-7.
No, that's just making that up.
Hold on a second.
Just making that up.
Let's just play it out. 10-7. 10-7. The Dallas Cowboys
losing to the
only
Lions.
a game back in the loss
Losing
column.
at the
Hang on.
Lions.
The Dallas Cowboys are at Detroit. Detroit stinks this year.
Cowboys stink too.
That's a win for
loss
Dallas. Minnesota doesn't have a quarterback. You
Yeah,
with me
win
on
that game.
That's a win
That's
for
a
Dallas.
win for Dallas.
Then they have the Chargers in Dallas, win for
No,
Dallas.
no, not automatically
At
doing that.
Washington, win. At New York, win. So 1, 2, 3, 4.
I don't agree with this.
Wow, the Dallas Cowboys.
You have them win it out. You have them win it out.
They might win out.
Yeah, see, every time you do that,
They might win out.
that's the kiss of death for a team
By
when you
the
say
way,
win out.
If the Cowboys,
You said that about the Ravens, and look what happened. You make them lose when you do that.
I did mess that up. If the Cowboys win out,
Yeah.
the Eagles might not make the playoffs.
Yeah, okay.
That's on the table, Tyrone.
Yeah, I'm not worried. I mean, a lot of things are on the table.
I'm just saying, from where we were a month ago, when we started the month of November, we all agreed the Cowboys are going to win the East by 5 games. No one's going to come close, right? And now, as we start December today, there's a roadmap for the Eagles not even making the postseason. That would be the greatest failure in the history of football.
No, it wouldn't.
That might get Sirianni fired.
That might. It might.
It's on the table. Woo-hoo-hoo.
Yeah.
Oh, all the smack talk, all the blustering, all the flexing and bowing up. Oh, we're going to win back-to-back Super Bowls. You might not make the playoffs right now. Worst run defense in football and an offense that averaged 15 points a game in the month of November. Yuck. When LeBron James decides he's retiring, it is coming with trumpets blaring, Adam Silver by his side, and he is going on a state-by-state, coast-to-coast tour so that everyone can acknowledge how great he was and give him a parting gift and thank him for his amazing contributions to the NBA.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
The future of the prediction markets, I think, at least for now, may be in the hands of the federal courts. But the good news for those who support prediction markets is that these court battles may last for another 2 to 3 years before we get clarity around the law. And nominee Seelig was handpicked by Donald Trump, not because he was neutral on prediction markets, but because he would do nothing to slow it down.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
He's the fan favorite. They love talking about Stafford, the 38-year-old guy. He's the Super Bowl champ. We got the family. Any opportunity to pump McVay and Stafford as a team, they do that. They love this team. They loved Aaron Donald, and rightfully so. Best defensive player, but they love to pump up Stafford.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, All Team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back to the Craig Carton Show. One final thought on that Eagles-Bears game, because it drove me batty all weekend long. People defending Nick Sirianni for going for two when they got down 9 points with 3.5 minutes or so to go in the game. It's a mind-bogglingly stupid decision. There were just over 3.5 minutes to go in the game. They scored a touchdown, and they get it down to 9. They went for two. If you don't convert the 2 points right there, the game ends. It's over. You're not getting 2 possessions with 3.5 minutes to go. So the idea is you kick the extra point, you get it to 8. If you do get a 3-and-out stop against the Bears, even if you have no timeouts left, you at least have a prayer at scoring a Hail Mary touchdown, a last-second touchdown, and then, of course, you go for 2 to tie the game. When you go for 2, with 3.5 minutes to go, down 9, you're effectively saying the entire game is now on this 2-point conversion with 3.5 minutes to go, meaning if you convert it, great, okay, you live to fight another day. You still need a 3-and-out stop, get the ball back, and you need a touchdown, extra point to tie, 2-pointer to win it. But if you don't convert it, and they didn't, obviously, you've just ended the game. And the idea is not what I heard a lot of former players saying, and they're dead wrong about it. Well, you want to know as early as possible how many more possessions you need.
That's what the analytics also say.
Maybe in the third quarter, or maybe at the start of the fourth quarter, but the clock has to play a role in this. And with 3.5 minutes to go, down 9, the only answer, whether it's analytics, mathematics, or just pure common sense, is give my defense a chance to get off the field and allow my offense to come back on with a chance to tie the game. When you go for 2 down 9, you remove that opportunity for your offense if you don't convert it. And I believe the current conversion rate is right around 50%. Right. All right, so it's a coin toss. So if it was 80%, all right, maybe I'm with you. Also, you know that the tush-push didn't work for them against the Bears. They got the turnover on it.
Hurts fumbled.
Right? Hurts fumbled on it as well. So I'm watching that, and it like bothers me to my core when former players come on and try to rationalize a stupid decision. Now, they would have lost the game anyway. I think we could agree on that, the way they were playing and the way the Bears were running the ball.
The Bears ended up, they didn't get a stop.
But you might make an argument for me if there's 15 minutes to go, if there's 11 minutes to go, and you know full well we're going to get 2, 3, maybe 4 more possessions in the game. But with 3.5 minutes to go, you'll be lucky to get the ball back once. You're not getting it back twice, especially with no timeouts left. So I just thought to me, this was the Eagles. You could talk about this better than I can. This was the Eagles of 2 years ago. This was the same kind of nonsense where people thought Nick Sirianni should be fired and almost was fired, as you know, went into that private meeting with Jeff Lurie and came out with his job intact, and everyone was shocked by it.
Yeah.
But the Eagles, to their credit, they won when they just beat the crap out of everybody. That's bully ball. And I don't take anything away from them. Good for them. They had the skill sets to do that. But they also show you who they really are when things go south. I'm speaking more about Sirianni than anybody. When anything goes a little south, he shows his true colors. And that is a big mouth bully who's not very good at what he does.
No, that's absolutely part of it. This is also the one flaw in Jalen Hurts being the same all the time, as we talked about before.
Personality-wise.
Now, the way he acts right now is exactly the same as he acted when they were winning all those games.
Yeah.
There are times, not all the time, 97% of the time, his personality works. This is part of that 3% where he might need to kick somebody in the rear and be a little different.
And he can or doesn't.
And he doesn't. He's literally the same. The way he approaches it all the time. So if they look like they're listless, they look like they're sleepwalking, he's not the rah-rah guy to lift them up. Just like when things were going good, he's not the guy who's going to go up there and rah-rah with them either.
Right.
He stays the same all the time, and this is the one flaw
You
in
might
his
need
game.
him to get to speak.
Right now, they need a little bit more from him, and he's not playing great. And this is the one flaw with the way he plays and being so flatline.
Yeah.
Most of the
that.
time, it's great. At this point, it's not great, and we'll see how he responds on Monday.
Final other couple things. Yeah, they play next Monday night. Final other couple things for you. One, if you watched even 5 minutes of that Minnesota-Seattle game,
yeah, my goodness,
you've got to be saying to yourself again, what in the world was Minnesota thinking when they allowed Sam Darnold to walk out the door?
Goodness.
Like, look, Sam Darnold's not going to the Hall of Fame anytime soon, but he's a damn good quarterback.
He's capable, yeah.
And was the best quarterback the Vikings have had maybe since Randall Cunningham or even Brett Favre way back in the day. And watching that poor kid, undrafted rookie, throw 19 interceptions yesterday, and watching Kevin O'Connell on the sideline was painful.
Jefferson losing his mind.
That might be of all time the worst personnel decision in the history of the NFL. It really might be. So they lose. Seattle's a very, very good team. Yeah. Seattle, the Rams, and San Francisco are all badass and all going to be a problem in the postseason. Thank you so much for watching. We'll do this again tomorrow. Have a blessed day.